Hey everybody, Tracy Brown. Good morning, or good day, whatever time of day you're listening to this. I'm going to take a second because it's such a brief moment or month here in South Florida, and my gardenias around my porch, like in the front and the back, are blooming, and I wish you could smell it. It is so amazing right now. And a little bit of a clue for you about some of the things that I teach people is about orienting, one, which is what I just did, which is I'm orienting to my surroundings, which is feeling and smelling and seeing and hearing and all that good stuff. So I wish you could be sitting with me right now because the gardenias around my back porch are blooming and it smells so good, way better than anything Bath and Body Works could bottle. It's so pretty. I'm smelling that, and I'm noticing there's a lot of rain here last night, so I see like raindrops, like the sun glistening and all these different raindrop things around, like where the porch is screened in, and yeah, I just kind of look around. The sky is kind of blue and a little bit of clouds, and actually it's a little muggy, but that's Florida. That's the way it always is, so that's the way it goes. So anyway, I just want to share that with you, that's a practice I regularly have to help myself just be in the moment and slow down before I jump in, because I'm actually kind of excited, so I needed to do that before I got going here. All right, so I kind of have an agenda for today and this whole week. And if you've been following me, today's actually April 23rd, and I know that people watch these videos well after the live day I do these. That's totally fine. But the last month here in April, I kind of had a little bit of an agenda, some things I wanted to talk about, just because there's just been a ton on my mind. I've been getting a lot more questions recently, so I started to kind of like make a list. And so I could go through, like, people who email me or people who ask me questions here on social media about some things. I've been kind of put in some categories. So I'm going to talk to you real briefly about what I am going to be talking about and then get to the main topic today. So hang in there with this. All right, so what I've been talking about this month is, I'm just going to go through it, so if you missed it, you can go back and listen to it. I talked about a little bit earlier this week how to end the confusion between what is deprivation-driven eating and what's emotional eating and what to do about it. I talked about, I think this was on April 12th, this topic around healing some of the barriers to getting going with intuitive eating and what things kind of trip us up to get some momentum going. Talked about debunking a bunch of stuff about BMI. We talked about that on the 16th. We talked about ending the cycle of blaming your body and decoding bad body thoughts, which was April 20th, I do believe. And that's one of my specialties, actually. So I talk on and on about it, and probably did a couple of videos about that this month because, honestly, I could do 100 videos about it, different examples, all that. So, and that's probably already happened and will continue to happen. We talked a little bit about rebellion eating and primal eating, and that was the 22nd. That was the end of last week. So today, the 21st, I think. And today we're going to talk about starting to navigate our worries about what other people think about our food and our bodies. We're going to talk about that today, and that's a huge topic. And one that I'm not going to cover everything in this video because there's just so much to talk about, and I don't want this to be an hour-long video. So I'll be talking about it again, so don't worry. And then the rest of the week, I want you to know what's happening. So if you're excited about rejoining me, the rest of the week, I'll probably be doing a video every other day, just because I want you to have time to process, to think about it, and to kind of work with this and do some digesting of it. So I'm not going to do every single day, but probably every other. And the rest of the week, I want to talk about radical self-care, and it's not just bubble baths and journaling and stuff like that, which is all great if you do those things. And those of you who hate journaling, there's two thoughts about that. I know I'm jumping ahead, but if you hate journaling, you probably need to do it, or it could be that it is triggering for some reason, and you need to explore how come that is, because you're going to get a lot of information if you do some writing. But if you hate it, you don't have to do it, but be curious about why you hate it, because maybe it's just fear pushing you back from actually, there's this belief that like what you find is going to be too overwhelming or you can't handle it. And so I always remind people to remember that you can just peek in. Just take a peek. You don't have to like feel like you got to change everything or take something away that you feel like you need to cope. All right. And then the next 3 videos I plan to do are going to be about, again, working with judgments against our bodies. We're going to go back to body image a little bit. Talk a little bit about gentle nutrition, what it is. And then we're going to talk about getting away from movement as a should to burn calories, and more about doing it for a desire to want to versus should. And I'm going to talk a little bit about nervous system health, why it's so important, and why doing it will make us healthier. It will help our relationships, it will help our health, and it is something that most people don't talk very much about unless you're in that like neuro regulation world. But I am trying to bring that world into food and body image recovery, because if we don't, I just think it takes longer, and I don't want that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about why we like decoding, emotional, like binge eating are basically the foods that we feel like that either we restrict or that we feel like we have to have, and why that is. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about in the next, honestly, probably 7 to 10 days. That, gosh, it's going to end up being, probably at least 10 days, maybe longer. So I hope you're hanging in there with me. There's a lot that I want to do. And I just want to say real briefly that I do sometimes change my mind because something better will come up, and I just kind of go with it. So anyway, just so you know, that's what's coming up for the next couple weeks. And I appreciate everybody who watches live, who shares these videos with people they think need to hear this. And for those who are catching this maybe a year from now for the first time, just know that I do this stuff regularly. Okay, so let's jump in. We all want to be loved. We all want to feel safe. And we all want to be accepted, which is why we care about what other people think about our bodies. That's just the bottom line. Because we were all made wonderfully. And even if our bodies change through puberty, through motherhood, through middle age, or because we've got some kind of medical thing going on, we have this idea that our bodies should never change. And we think that way because we have learned that, or we've had experience where it felt safer to have either a bigger body or a smaller body. And not every single person who is in a larger body is trying to protect themselves, and not every person who is just almost to the point of desperation of having a smaller body is trying to protect themselves. That's not the case at all for everybody, but it is the case for some people. So if you're in that boat, just know that that's common, but it's not everybody's story or everybody's journey. But I do know that I help people work with the reality we're in. And the reality we're in is that our world is fat phobic and thin obsessed. And if they don't think they are, they probably are, because they might use the words, I just want to be healthy, or I just want to be fit. And what does that even mean? I need you to first look at that definition. What's your definition of thin or fit? And what's your definition of healthy? And if you think that vitality and strength can only come from changing your body, you're wrong. That's just stuff that we were taught. So let's just start off that first, that we worry about what people think based on definitions and based on value judgments and things like that. So just want to put that out there. If you haven't explored that, I need you to get out your pen and paper, or listen to this first and go back and get out your journal and start to write what you think fitness is, what it looks like, what you think you have to do to get there. And if it makes you feel shoulded and guilty or not good enough, then it's the wrong definition. Because the bottom line is, if we have behaviors that help us get there, even if our bodies don't change, we're getting there. And if you're listening to this, you have a chronic illness and it's really, moving your body is painful or it's difficult, I know that you're out there just trying to do the movements you can do, one movement, one day at a time. So everybody's definition of doing the best they can with the body they have is different. Okay, so I just want to put that out there, that I know that's true, that there are people here who are using devices to help them get around, and they might not even and that's what they're doing. And so your definition of vitality and fitness is going to look a whole lot different than somebody's who can just, their legs and arms work, as maybe other people's do. So putting that out there first. So going back to what other people think about our bodies is that the bottom line is that if we use definitions of what is seen as attractive to actually feel attractive, and we're not there, we're going to suffer. What I notice about suffering in this topic is that, the original wounding or the original even stress or trauma, and I don't use that word trauma I don't throw that word around loosely, because people can say, oh, I had such a traumatic day and it was so stressful. That's a whole lot different than having perceptions of feeling like there's no relief to the overwhelm. It's different for everybody. Okay. So anyway, when, we're in situations where we have felt like that we're just chronically being judged, or chronically being not seen lovingly, or kind of always being put down, that's going to wear away at our resilience. And then it makes it really, really hard. And we're always in hypervigilance about who might be judging us and how much they're watching our food or whatever. And so that stuff is all really real. And so whether that's happened to you chronically, or it's just something that we think it's going to happen, our first job is just take a step back and say, wait a minute, is this actually really happening to me right now, or am I fearful that this is going to happen? So if you don't know what's going on beyond what your brain is thinking right now, I need to take a step back and say, okay, are people really judging me? And the answer is, well, actually, no. I'm just afraid they're going to. Your job in that moment is to get more in yourself and focus on, well, what do I need to do to be more grounded and to truly take care of myself? Because people may not be noticing what I'm doing, and I'm creating more suffering just by the fear of that happening. So that's job number one. Number two is, if that actually is happening for you, we have to start to look to, even if that's happening, and I'm being judged right this second, whether it's by my doctor or my family, and they are actually saying, when are you going to start doing this intuitive eating thing, or when are you going to start trying to diet? And when those moments happen, you gotta know that is based on somebody else's wounding, and us aligning with their wounding is going to cause us more suffering. It doesn't make it easier that people might be judging us based on what we're doing. It doesn't make it easier. It just means that you are called to do something really, really radical, which is say, you know what? It would be easier if I went on a diet, because they would back off, they would leave me alone. Maybe they would love me more. But the price is too high to starve myself and then to cause that to make me binge, or to think I should be starving myself to get a scrap of love. The price is too high for that. And it wounds my soul too much to try to earn love based on what I eat or what I look like. And I can't do it anymore. And so I highly recommend that you start seeking out other resources to fill yourself up, whether that's your spirituality, whether that's, if you're, watching these videos, if you're working with me one-on-one, or you're working with me somebody else, or working in my self-study, or whatever you're doing to get a sense of how to get how to heal some of those wounds and how to get more filled up. That's what I need you to do. There's some great books out there. There's so many great books around building up your resilience. and things like the Intuitive Eating book, things like When Women Stop Hating Their Bodies, Eating in the Light of the Moon. I love Rosie Molinari's book. It's like 365 Days. I can't remember the name of it. I'm so sorry. I've listed this book before, but I think it's really lovely just to have this like little dose of self-acceptance every day. But it's a really good book. Rebecca Strick, Body Kindness book is really good. There's just so many really good books, and authors that I'm missing. I'm so sorry right now. And, there's just so many books I'm missing, so I'll try to go back and link here on the bottom here. I'm going to go back to my bookshelf and look at some things, because I don't plan these things out in terms of like what books I'm going to recommend. They just come to my head at the moment, so sorry if I'm missing some people. I'll go list it later. But you've heard me talk about a lot of decoding things. I really need you to start thinking about that it is really, really difficult, and we have to have a lot of radical compassion and self-care for ourselves, recognizing that when people judge us for our weight and our food, or if we think they are, running to scraps of self-worth to get other people to care for us and to go through dying to get that actually doesn't help, doesn't fix the issue. It doesn't help us really. It just puts a little band-aid on the surface of that for now, and we're still just, it makes us continue to run and run and run. So some of the radical things we can do is eat what we want. Some of the radical things we can do are to wear clothes that fit us, and know that other people aren't going to agree with that. They're going to think that what we're doing is like giving up, and it's not. One of those radical things we can do is say, this is the body I have right now, and it might change, it might not. That freaks me out, but right now I'm in a lot of suffering and pain because my clothes are too tight, and it makes me constantly focus on my body. And one of the most radical things you can do is get rid of your scale and smash it. Throw it in a dumpster. Don't give it away. Throw it in a dumpster. One of the most radical things you can do to care for yourself is to, all the clothes in your closet that are never going to fit, throw those away. Get rid of them. And when I say throw them away, I mean give them away. Take it in the Goodwill. Clean up your social media. Everybody that's like offering Beachbody and the Whole30 and Instagram people that are spending all day long trying to get the perfect selfie, get rid of that stuff. Basically anything that makes you feel bad, get rid of it. And so thank you everybody for joining live right now. I know that I'm getting ready to actually wrap up, so please go back and listen to the beginning. I talked about a lot of different things I'm going to be talking about the next 2 weeks, so I want you to know what's up and what we're talking about today. But basically, as I'm wrapping up here, I want you to know that there are things that we can do that, and it's not in rebellion, it's just about what brings life. And that's how we know that we're going to be able to deal more peacefully when other people don't get our intuitive eating journey or a body acceptance journey, or believe that we're just giving up and criticize that. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of self-compassion to say, I know nobody gets this, and it's really lonely. And that's why I'm doing this video, so you don't feel so alone, and you know that there are other people out there going through the same thing, going through that. Nobody's going to get this. No one, but people, not everybody's going to get this. But the more you start to feel better, the more you start to honoring your body, the more you start to be able to be more productive. And because you're not starving yourself, because you're not wearing clothes that don't fit, because that you're eating what you want more, even if in the first several months of this process that you end up gaining a little weight, or that you end up feeling kind of out of control about food, you're actually not. You're letting go of control to actually have more peacefulness in the long run. And you're learning to like clean up some of those diet thoughts that have been holding you back. That stuff is not letting go. That stuff is not caring. that's actually caring a whole lot more about what your body needs and what you need to live more wholly and peacefully in this culture, and caring more about that versus caring more about what other people think. So I'm hoping this video helps you. You can't see my hand, but I am like talking a lot with my hands right now. And I hope all this comes through, that it's a big deal to start to learn to care less about what other people think, about what you order on the menu, about what you wear, about what you're doing with your food. And remember, if nothing else burns in your brain, is that you stopping trying to lose weight is not giving up on yourself. You're actually letting go of the suffering. You're letting go of the suffering of believing that you can only be happy, that you can only be healthy, that you can only be safe if you lose weight. Because once you stop fighting and you stop fighting yourself and actually use that energy to understand, like this world is not invested in your peacefulness. This world does not want you to be okay with your body. This world wants you at war with yourself. It wants you competing and comparing with other people. And when you just say, I'm dropping the fight against myself and actually building my resilience, and not that you're at war with the world, you're not, but you're just aware and your eyes are open that, like, oh, this world doesn't want me to like my body. It doesn't want me to be okay with myself. It wants me to not feel accepting of myself, and wants me to, like, be at the feet of others for love and acceptance. No. The people that love us and that are meant to be in our lives, that are minimally just that don't care, our coworkers, our bosses, our teachers, or whatever, our families. The people who really care about us, one, don't care about our body size. They love us for who we are. And the ones that aren't there yet, we don't need to join them in that suffering. We can be just a better example of, like, living in authenticity with being good with ourselves. Okay, so I hope this message helps at least somebody out there know that making peace with the fear of what other people think about us starts with us doing these little things and knowing that we can end the war. We can end the war. So I hope that helps, and I'll talk to you all in a day or two. Take care.